Besides her day job, she is an active angel investor in Fiban, Finnish Business Angels Network, an advisory board member in several startups, and as an investor, she looks at business models where platform economy models are put in practice. So if somebody can execute, then she is interested. Ladies and gentlemen, platform economy, a threat or a possibility, from Nordea Startup Growth, Pia Erkinheimo. Welcome.
I'm on the top of the world, looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here. As coming from Helsinki, I have a huge respect of especially this local ecosystem. I think there is some kind of a Oulu mafia which makes this company, this area of Finland very, very economically and culturally very vivid, and you are also very international. So I have several multi-million companies who I know that they usually skip Helsinki and only fly directly to Oulu. So I'm happy to be here. Regarding where I'm coming, I also want to say that only very recently I had the pleasure of working at Solve, the cleantech company, which is Oulu origin company, growth company, operating also in Helsinki and Bratislava and Žilina. The two last cities are actually in Bratislava, but actually in Slovakia, but actually the company operates in more than 100 countries, so it's part of the platform economy story, so you will hear more about that. I joined Nordea on 9/11, so this is my 19th bank day in a bank. I am somewhat capable of answering questions regarding the bank, but don't take me as the spokesperson of the bank yet. I haven't been trained. But I have my own point of view, and you may also get it, the reason why I joined the bank. I never thought myself. So, platform economy, a possibility or threat? Let's see where we all end up with that one. First, I think that it's good to really look at it a bit conceptually. And I'm quoting here now our good colleague, a great Finnish scholar, Villi Lehdonvirta, who is working at Oxford Internet Institute as adjunct professor. And I don't want to start with the examples because I have them later. But basically why we are looking at platforms is really there is 3 or 4 main reasons. We want to solve coordination problems, bring buyers and sellers together with confidence. So this will be about trust. Platforms do not only help to find a stranger. And then what is also, we must think that there is usually always an existing institutional arrangement, i.e. the brick and mortar way of doing business. So that's why people have thought that platform economy solutions are actually a threat. But let's be patient. That may not still be the case. But then it's really important that when we look at these platforms as such, especially in the consumer business, these platforms which kind of repeat exact service, but then there is already a trust among parties created. So that usually means that the business is actually getting away from the platform. So let me give you an example, and this is also based on my experience as an angel investor, because I ended up in a bit of a short corner in one business model. So here's the deal. We have a platform for cleaners, and it's according to Villi's research as well. So we need some home help and for domestic cleaning. And it would be so great to get the friction away of finding and locating help for cleaning, so cleaners at home, but also creating the trust and making this whole thing more smoothly. But what happened with this case was actually that first the platform usage got up. They got both service providers, i.e. people working as a cleaner, and also they get clients. But the growth ended and it started to decline. And everything was done according to the book. And then people started to think that why does this happen? And I think it's quite human. It's about trust. Because once you find a great cleaner to help with your domestic affairs, so actually you don't need anymore the platform. So you actually create a personal relationship with the service provider, with the cleaner, the cleaning lady or the cleaning and gentleman. So this is basically what kind of hindered this model to grow. If we then add to this model that there would be values which may be environmental or just make sense or make the costs lower, that it's regional, so that there is some logistical advantage for the workforce to find. So that could be an added value of the platform. So what happened in real life, so we Finns are very advanced in looking different ways of employmentship. So how we do digital work, how we become self-employed, these topics. And now 15 months ago, I had like 5 startups who contact me because I'm interested in paid crowd working business models. And they had an app, often addressed to our young workforce, 16 years and above, so that they would get their hands dirty, so get the first experience as working persons. And then the app was really nice that because in Finland we got these tax redundancies and we can claim them and tax reductions based on the help, the employmentship that we as a households have generated. And there were several of them, and very enchanting, and almost looking like a Tinder, and very swipeable, and very good user interfaces. But the business case is challenging because Finland is not big enough. And then when you go abroad from the Nordics, our behavior, this is not pinpointing to any nationality per se, but the thinking of household domestic errands isn't necessarily that, hey, we need to remember to pay the taxes to persons who help with our children. I'm a mother, so babysit our children or help with the domestic stuff when there is a big event at home organized and somebody needs to clean the windows, and I'm not good at that. So there was 2 things. First of all is that I definitely, if I found a good person to play with my kids and take care of them, I wouldn't use even the platform. It's still easier to send her a WhatsApp. Secondly, should I then always be, a good citizen and remember to, pay what government says? I'm not encouraging anybody to act differently, but this is human. But especially because this business model had to scale, and outside Nordic regions and maybe in the Netherlands, people just don't behave like that. Hey, somebody helps me to carry the groceries home, or cut our grass, or something like that, and I really need to pay her this, and then I pay for the government. So this behavior isn't like that. So I chose not to invest to any of them. So you got my point and got Willy's point that platforms, we have to design them quite carefully. We would love to platformatize everything. And I will test you now my own term regarding Nordea, so I tell you our platform story. So this is about the concept in general. So what is really a platform, and what could platform economy be? So technology is one of the drivers for platform ecosystems. Everybody knows these buzzwords, Internet of Things. We have sensors, and they are cheaper and cheaper. The processes and the environment is more containing more ubiquity. Then deepening specialization. So this is a bit of a controversial thing, but basically we find apps for so many things nowadays. And sometimes it's even worth to packetize those behaviors. So that we can see everything as a service. And even one of my favorite topics to follow and try to be an advocate is sharing economy, because who wants to own stuff anymore if we packetize it and make it available as a service? And then there will be some software work to be done. So these are basically those that drive the platform ecosystem business model. So when you build a platform ecosystem, there is things that you need to take into account, like degree of openness. As this is something that it's based on digital behaviors, so it's like that, you know, how open are we? How can we embed other players to use our data and come to the ecosystem? Pontus Huotari made an excellent doctoral dissertation, defended his thesis in Lappeenranta University of Technology in August, and he was actually looking video game playing consoles, the global situation and the ecosystems. So in that game, for example, hardware quality was one of the things. We can also think that a decade ago, our own hardware, i.e. mobile phones and other personal equipments, were not that capable yet. Then it's always like that, how do you design the technology? There we see sometimes situations when just a younger service actually overcomes the older one, just because that it's too complicated with the older technologies. So basically, we should then it's the magical thing that we all think and wish. It's the platform, and everybody seeks so-called network effect. So that I mean often asked that, hey, how big of a crowd should we have so that suddenly it gets viral? And it depends, of course, of the case. And I haven't seen, I'm a behavior scientist by background, so I haven't seen a bulletproof theory yet. You know, how can we say that by engaging 800 households in a community of 20,000 people, it actually means that after getting the 800, so in the next month we will already have like 2,000, and then it's more than kind of a word of mouth. So it's interesting, but platforms need to, that's kind of in their genes, and that's why this is both practically but also academically very interesting to understand the network effects. And then it's about timing, entry timing, pricing, quality, openness, distinctiveness, and also like that we see this behavior that people have learned already intuitively, or those who are kind of early birds very systematically, to think that, hey, I don't join that platform yet. I wait whether it flies, because I don't want to be having so many apps or whatever. It's complicated because there are still so many platforms, also luckily, because otherwise this life would be very monolithic. On the other hand, they would kind of wait that if there is a critical mass, so only then it makes sense to join. And this is, by the way, working in the business-to-business context as well. And organizations and companies need to do these platform ecosystem decisions. Does this make any sense? Okay, good. Thanks for the encouragement. I go through the practices as well, but I'm a nerd. I like to think first, deductive thinking, and most of you have gone Finnish school system, so usually theory and then practice. In US, they have the case-based thinking, so this is more European way of. But then there is the thinking like that the platform business is not that the winner takes it all, nor that the first in the best. And Huotari, as I said, was looking the game producers, console game producers, so this is not about mobile apps. And there is the interesting relationship between the platform, then the behaviors, and then if the revenue model contains some revenue streams from advertisers, but then there are complementers. And in his thinking, especially those who are not kind of are not in the core platform provider. So complementers actually have a crucial role how well this ecosystem um, progresses. And when we come more to our daily lives, so we always, most phones, you need to make a choice whether it's an Android or an Apple. I had my adventure with Jolla and well, some earlier stuff as well. But nevertheless, so it's really like that, what kind of a complementing services we can add so that it would benefit the whole data pot that we are gathering to the platform. Oops. Am I aiming right? Now it really didn't like me at all. Houston. Okay, and here is not now. Let me click. Here is some operator, there's something going on. I clicked not now, and so I'm nyt. Let's see. Now it works again. Okay, good. Finnish origin, great platform company is called ShareTribe. Anyone knows? Yes. And it's been on the market quite long. It's in the portfolio of Reactor Ventures, and it's a platform of platforms. So if you just happen to need and want to open an online marketplace, so they have a platform for that. And they've been thinking that what we actually need to do in order to concur and make actually a transaction, which may even lead to the fact that some goods, so physical goods, are being traded. So everything based on trust. So trust is the thing that we are kind of seeking now with our blockchain and blockchain technologies. That's what we actually have lost pretty much as consumers behaving in digital worlds. Then if we have their goods to deliver, so there has to be logistics for that one, then usually there's always some additional, at least it's worth selling some kind of services on top of that. And then in case there is an incident, so, earlier times, I'm so old, we discussed about service quality and service dominant logic, and also about service recovery. And you can just win souls that, it didn't go perfect, but actually, well, IT people talk about ticketing, but actually the incident resolution was so smooth. An example in simplest way is that, hey, if you buy clothes that don't fit you, so you can return it for free. Then it's about service personalization, and now I think usually in the Nordics and in Europe we haven't been that skeptical about our privacy as it has been in the new continent, i.e. in North America. By the way, from the user behavior perspective, Asia is the most social one. So they based on perhaps their philosophy of life, they don't express the need of having so much privacy because there is the tendency of thinking that we are part of something bigger, or at least we are part of a family. But having said that, so per service personalizations, it sounds very lucrative, but now we are quite cautious of thinking that where did the data come? And then classical service theory, surprise what makes us perhaps remember the brand or the thing later. So I think ShareTribe's tips how to make business on platform economy are quite useful actually. But then there is my favorite thing. I've used the word consumer, but actually when I started doing platform business, I actually started to dislike that term more and more. I don't want to be considered as a consumer, like the way I express myself is only consumption. It doesn't sound really nice. It sounds that I'm an objective of some kind of a sales push or marketing activities. Because in today's world, in digital platforms, everybody is also a creator. So this phenomenon is actually called the rise of amateurship. And if we think the word amateur, it's actually coming from Latin, and it's something to do with loving, i.e. to love something. So sometimes in the Western world, oh, it was amateurish. But actually, what would be the greater thing than make the one that you love most your passion and your profession? So, so who is actually a professional nowadays? We can ask. Aren't we all a bit of amateurs? At least in the knowledge information glut. So we can't know it at all. But the main point, I hope you get it, that basically calling us a consumer is old-fashioned. We are intellectually and emotionally behaving people who always, with its purchasing decision, let it be in business to business or for domestic use, we always give something, and this is that, and let alone our behavior. So this makes should give us more purchasing power or negotiation power. So this is something that the platforms do leverage. So when thinking your business, your organization, and how can we think ourselves as of a platform, so there is no platform which is totally closed, not even Apple, and I can take a debate after this now regarding that ecosystem, which because of that is not my favorite. But okay, so let's be proud of being, kind of in charge of our own economy, and think that we are not objectives and we are not victims of our lust and behavior that the marketers are using and brainwashing us, but we are actually providing and giving back something very valuable. So it's our data, and that's a bit of a different story, but related, because everything is related. What I burn about, and what you heard from our MC saying as well, is the models with crowds. It's called crowdsourcing, and when I start doing this, I usually get acquainted with that and be part of making business models on top of this and utilizing crowd and wisdom of the crowd thinking. So that word wasn't really known that well. Now I think everybody has a gut of an idea, and it's enough. But this is something that we worked also a bit more conceptually, and we could easily see, what is this? What is actually that we, as a crowd, because I feel that it's also kind of empowering. So what we can do. So in Finnish, this is joukkojen arvonluonnin onnenpyörä tai maailmanpyörä. So value creation of crowds changes, for example, ideation. Internet provides us explicit access to millions and millions of ideas. We can have the platforms where we can concept them. Then we can get funding via crowdsourced business models. Let them be pre-purchase or reward-based crowdfunding. So when the product is kind of try out and you see the traction, etc. Then with branding, there are services where you can create brands with the 300,000 designers, and they help you to do things from websites to logos to websites and much more, I believe. So marketing, content creation. Then again, we can look at how crowdfunding for the equity actually could help and speed up your business development. And then a very classical one is actually using crowds for user feedback testing and customers serving each other. So just an example, if you have a malfunctioning stuff, or you don't know something, how your phone or your computer works, you never call to LG or Samsung or Lenovo or something like that, because you just Google or the address of the user fan group and you ask the question there. And best example of this, what I've learned lately, you may have better ones even, is actually Suunto, doing the wrist computers and sports measuring equipments. So their moves count community is the best marketing tool. And I think the last time there was like 300,000 people in moves count, and it asks always the active group of 30,000, but yet they generate the content. And actually, Suunto has been very careful for years of moving that this is kind of it's not push marketing, there is actually substance. So it's a really interesting way of doing it. And they use basically, at least when I discuss them lately, so for basically €0 for marketing, because this is basically their marketing vehicle. So, but really we help each other and platforms help in that. And then I used to work for French origin consulting company called Capgemini, also operating here in Finland. And what I'm now looking is really like business models where high level, high competency work could benefit from wisdom of the crowds. Because I truly believe that 3 Capgemini consultants, how wise these persons are. So if we gather this information in another way, let's say with a group of experts of 50 with different locations, it would make much more sense and the customer would be actually much more pleased. So, 1 minute to go. Examples. Give me another minute because now it's the exciting one and the audience has done so well. Nobody, I don't see anybody sleeping. This is one of the examples. This is what's cool, what's happening, coolest thing what's happened in crowdfunding, in my humble opinion, this year. In 43 minutes, only from Finland, this startup gathered 1 million euros. And with 3 hours, they gathered 1.5 million, which was the minimum of their A round phrase. And in 3 days, they gathered 2 million euros, and they stopped it when it was 3 million euros because they wanted to reach the full, which was 5 million from abroad, from strategic reasons. What the business does is called spacenation.org, and they are actually making an app for everybody, for global markets. And with this app, together with NASA, any one of us can become an astronaut. And it's actually motivating you to learn new skills, learn your social skills, and also do some exercise. And it doesn't mean that everybody needs to go to space, but one will. It will be a booth camps, 3 camps in 3 different locations, and it will be a reality show as well. So and one will actually, and there will be one is the winner, and then she will have a kind of a secondant, just in case something happens for the winner. So this is why Finland, we are creating games, we are creating education, and we are a pretty neutral country, to be honest. So, and then it's about our thinking of everybody being egalitarian. This is from the business to business, as there are, most of you are business people here. So this is a community where you can design stuff. So you can design a Finnish stock-listed company needed for their engineering, some new ideas how to do a physical thing. And this is a community with more than almost 4 million members, and often they are highly trained. And they found a solution in engineering, in mechanical engineering, but this time the solution came from aviation engineers, and usually their own staff is more coming from another tradition side of mechanical engineering. So this is, and there was a reward, and they got good exercises, and the company's own R&D unit was just curious. They didn't feel themselves offended. And then this, as I mentioned, my dear ex-employer, Salt, what Salt is doing, they are using the platform economy for reaching the talent that usually cannot necessarily in old world wasn't able to be found. And the domain is very exciting. It's actually clean tech, sustainability, circular economy, smart cities, and energy efficiency. So really a global question to solve, which touches us all, and we should all join our forces in these topics. But what they are also doing is find the expertise for the given task in a flexible manner, in a way that the co-creation truly happens. And of course, it's not only on a digital platform, there is face-to-face as well. I don't want to say that, especially when it's a lot of high-level skilled work where you need tacit knowledge as well. They've also built like a platform of a platform, because nowadays we also have quite many ways of organizing ourselves, and suddenly these teams which are related to climate change and keeping the planet livable. So there are a lot of activities in there. They are often done in ecosystems. And actually what now is happening, I'm not sure if what is the original business plan, maybe it even was, but now what they are experiencing as we speak, that platforms are coming together. And this is the interesting offering that because it's a thematic, it's not just yet a place to meet. There is a theme, and there is a high standard of expertise involved in the heads of the experts that are working via this platform. And then my current employer, so 19th day in a bank. So I'm now testing with you, the audience, the term bank as a platform. And here is one platform. And this is the team I joined. It's Finland, covering the whole of Finland, and hopefully in 6 months, as Finland is the torch carrier, the one that really developed the concept, was that how can a brick and mortar bank actually serve with its big amount of money, but also big its networks to European Investment Bank, etc., the startup and growth community. So usually with startups and growth companies think that bank ask so much that our balance sheet is not in shape anymore, but that's not the case. So we are 25 people, experts in looking startup and growth company and platform economy business models, so that we can actually match, thanks with the help of Finnvera and thanks with the so-called Katainen's 300 billion euros, if you remember this investment bank. This is for European innovation. And soon we actually could see a Nordic deal flow, which means also the spreading the risk in the Nordics. And we have pockets of excellence that we can join. And then Nordics, well, Europe Nordics would be much more relevant player against North America and China, because this ecosystem competition is really, you need muscles. And all is great and Finland is great, but I think it's not really enough. Bank as a platform, in short, means that we can facilitate that, plus that we look ourselves. So how can a bank introduce a startup and a growth company and help them to get clientele in the large and family-sized companies, let alone the stock-listed companies, who they are also looking for innovation, external innovation streams. And now, with Nordea's market share, we have visibility to 75% of all Finnish startups and growth companies, which is a lot. And I think the data is, we have different data, but almost as good coverage as Tekes, the Finnish innovation agency. And this is actually, I think it's more like from Nordea. I mean, I'm not really a Nordea person yet, so I think it's kind of their responsibility. I mean, there shouldn't necessarily be any other business case. And this team, by the way, is having Suomi 100, Finland 100th anniversary logo. But there is, of course, a solid business case as well.
I'm
but
so sorry, Pia. We need to wrap it up. Thank you.
And that's why I think it's time to show my last slide, which is there is no presentation without Little Prince, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's lovely figure. And his philosophy was and contained the idea, our task is not foresee the future, but enable it. So with that words, thank you for your attention.